Our guest speaker today is Deb Drury, who comes to us as the Etown librarian extraordinaire, and she will give us an update in a COVID-19 world. So the rest of us, please mute your mics. Deb Drury, thank you for being here. And I just gave screen share capability to you, Deb.
Can't hear anything, can we?
Is your mic unmuted, Deb?
Your office?
That's unacceptable.
Because I'm gonna come in early tomorrow to work on tuning these up and sending them back. They're just over-the-counter drugs. They're not like prescription drugs, if that makes sense.
Okay, I'm hearing talk about drugs. Is that somebody
Just
else's
FYI,
microphone?
which I didn't know before, I took them to
It's Scott
the
Svek. You might want to
what you
mute
call Mount Joy. We have a
Deb, we're not hearing you.
All
Sorry.
right, let's try again.
There,
Is that
yes.
better?
We hear
All
you.
right. So the speaker must have been off, or the mic must have been off. And we are going to go into the slideshow. Okay. So thank you again for the invite. I'm glad to be here today. I have several different renditions of what I was thinking about talking about today. And I realized that you may or may not be aware that the library has been presenting LeaderCast for many years now. If you're not familiar with LeaderCast, it is, generally speaking, a single day where 9 celebrated authors, personality, wildly successful business professionals provide us with inspiration that is applicable and relevant for each of our lives and businesses. The theme for this year was slated, I kid you not, 2 years ago. The theme is positive disruption. Nobody at the time could have possibly known how appropriate this theme would be. And it is truly, they have revamped how it's done, and it just really seems that that is the theme. That's the theme for this year. This little monster has pretty much taken over everything. We are disrupted. Everything is different. We have been thrown from our comfort zones and into the unknown. Everything continues to change, and it seems to just change every single day. Many people have used the time to do really bold and audacious things like sit on the couch and eat potato chips. Some have used their time to remodel their yards or their homes, and others dug deep to find themselves. And no matter what, everybody that I have spoken to, whether still working, not still working, anything, our routines went away. Consistency became really hard. And the same was true for me. And I realized a couple weeks into this thing, I really needed to start rebuilding my personal morning routine. And as I was getting into that and making some changes, I was challenged to have some daily declarations. And at first I thought this was really goofy because I was thinking of it like that self-talk nonsense. And then I realized that some of these things are really good, really positive. So as we talk today, I'm going to just weave some of these declarations in, and hopefully you will find a little bit of inspiration to build some declarations perhaps into your own morning routine. So I was asked to talk about the library during we call it C19 because we really don't want to mention the word. So disruption struck. The Office of Commonwealth Libraries mandated that all public libraries shut down services as usual. The statement at the very beginning was simple. Libraries were to perform no routine services. As we know, very little routine was in at the beginning. So we had a choice. We are an independent public library. We are a 501c3 entity with our own board of trustees, and we cooperate with other libraries in Lancaster County. So the choice was, would we conform to the expectations of those around us? Would we give in to follow the same things everybody else was doing? Or would we respond to the moral obligation to serve our community with creativity and bravery? We chose the latter. We chose to follow our moral obligation and fulfill what is my first declaration. And that declaration is, I have a moral obligation to overcome my fears and insecurities. As they say, danger is real, fear is a choice. Each morning, I remind myself of this obligation. So, we tried to see the future. The team shifted, and we started doing things a little bit differently. In our great brilliance, we thought it's going to last about 2 weeks, right? 3 weeks maybe. So we started a figurative bulletin board in the front of the library, the windows that are on Market Street. We put up signs to tell people, lots of people don't have access to the internet except for at the library. So we put up signs. There are ways that people could get free or very, very low cost minutes for their telephones, those kinds of things. We put up all that information. We put up how to get in touch with us, how people could request things, information, books, etc. And we set ourselves up so we could serve out of the main front doors of the library, kind of like drive-through or curbside pickup at that point. Lots of troubleshooting, lots of moving heavy piles of books and furniture. It's the reality of all the work we do, even a lot of your volunteer projects. Most of it's done behind the scenes. Most of it is quite mundane, even laborious, picking corn and tomatoes. Kind of mundane. And as somebody said about the previous work you did at the farm, you break out in a sweat. Nobody really sees it. Nobody really knows about it. And so, of course, there's a declaration to go with this. The declaration is, I do the 95% that is mundane for the 5% that is pretty awesome. And there was some pretty awesome. The team came together. As you see, I was laundering money for a while. We cleaned everything. Team members attended to clients at the door, took phone calls, pulled books. Gail is in the back there, bringing the books that she picked for somebody who requested them. The community was so grateful. Parents who are new to homeschooling were thrilled with the support and materials we pulled for them. People who thought they weren't going to be able to get the items they had requested were thrilled to be able to pick them up. And we continued cleaning. And then we had signs in the window. We even had some displays right in the front of the library where people could kind of shop from those things. And the thank yous were coming in. And that part was pretty awesome. And then we were closed down. Somebody complained that the library was performing services and providing materials to people. And so we were shuttered. Once again, our doors were closed without notice. So that's yet another thing. We try, we climb walls, we do the best we can. And if we want to have success, we must learn to fail. And then we must learn from that failure. Success and failure go hand in hand. So I declare, I will fail. My recovery time will continue to improve. What was our recovery time from shutting down to the time we reopened? 2 days. We were shut down on a Friday. We reopened the next Monday. More work, We moved everything that we needed to serve the community from the main library into the coffee company. This is what the front of the building looked like in the coffee company windows. We put up the coffee company menu. We had extra things going on in there that we hadn't before. We moved the shelves, the holds, the computers, the telephones. We did a lot of troubleshooting without any help from IT. And we started serving out of the coffee company door. We added buy one, give one lunches, started selling masks, and people were buying coffee, picking up books, picking up their movies.
Excuse me, Elizabeth, are you trying to screen share some pictures and things?
Yes.
Because I don't think we're seeing it. I'm
You're
not seeing
not?
it. No.
Well, I should have.
Did you click share screen?
I did.
Do it again. There we go.
You're seeing that now? Well, we're going to go zip backs because, you know, you should see all this stuff. Do you see it now?
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Okay. Well, sorry about that. So we're just going to click through positive disruption, our good friend, choices. We did a whole series with our American Girl dolls where I took them out on various adventures. This is us trying to see the future. Laundering some money, cleaning our Legos, the sign from the front when we were shopping from the catalog. Another one of our efforts here. And this is where we were. So thank you very much for speaking out. I'm glad you did. So this is what the coffee company window, it's pretty close to what it still looks like, actually. And then this is what the inside looks like. Nobody has a very good visual of this, but we do have all of the good stuff. The holds are in here. A lot of the new book materials are in here. And then a staging area to bag the materials when people come to the front door for picking up their materials, or coffee, or cookies. The cookies are always a fan favorite. We also started doing contactless services. So we were trying to figure out how we could do programming when we couldn't see the people. And we did window bags. We called them window activity bags. We had 3 different groupings. We had a family group, a young child group, and then kind of a tween teenage group. And we would put pretty much everything that you would need to do the activity in the bags. Service through the coffee company. And we pulled some numbers in June. We did 43 new cards, served 460 unique clients between the ages of 5 and 90. And once again, we tripped up a little bit, or perhaps we didn't really do the tripping up, but failure happens. Because of another complaint, we got another visit from the police. And who would complain about library services, you might wonder? Believe it or not, it was another library. You would think there's no competition in the nonprofit world, and that's not really how it is. When we don't fit in, when we're not doing what everybody else is doing, when we think differently, oftentimes people respond negatively to that action and activity. Maybe they just disagree. Maybe they're jealous. Who knows the reasons? But people will react, especially when we're making a ruckus. The competition will not be happy. And even friends question our choices sometimes. Not everybody will cheer us on. And when that happens, we need to remind ourselves we are shaking things up. And we were. We found out that we were one of 4 libraries in the entire country that were providing physical services to our communities. not in Pennsylvania, in the entire United States. We were one of 4, and we were the only ones that lasted the entire time. The community was confounded by the complaining, as was I. We received so much support and encouragement to keep going, to keep striving forward. And we continued to provide this. And one of our biggest driving reasons was for the people that live in our community who do not have access to the internet. There's also a lot of people who were stuck at home. They may not have had access to the internet. They may not have known how to use it. And we just kept receiving so many comments, so much more. Every single day, more comments, more encouragement to keep going. And we did. In case anybody is curious, the team is very healthy, very engaged, and very, very grateful to them for the amount of work that they put in over the last almost 6 months. So hard to believe. We received a few care packages. Whoops, went too far. A few care package, other kinds of good things. And we continued to do a lot of things that we had been doing. These stats are a little bit old now, but as of the end of June, we were, and we still are, doing CSA pickup. About 285 shares had gone out since the doors were shuttered. It's about 25 per week now. And it can be anything from vegetables, fruit, bread, flour, meat, cheese, all kinds of things. And people come to the library and pick those things up. We also continued to do the window activity bags, and then we added magazines. And we've distributed more than 1,600 window activity bags. And I believe we're working on about 500 magazines that have been distributed. People could just come up to the window and take the bags. Today is actually the last day for the window activity bags because we have started doing in-person programming. We have some programs that are happening in the library, mostly on the second floor. We also acquired a tent, and Miss Jennifer is doing story times, tent time with Miss Jennifer, she calls it, in the courtyard. And then we've done a program with reptiles in the lower level where families came and got to visit with some live animals on site. So the groups are a little bit smaller than usual, but people are engaged and they are glad to have some activity in their life that is not on a screen. Fingerprinting restarted pretty early. We found out that a lot of the healthcare agencies were trying to hire and onboard new people. They couldn't do that because nobody was open for fingerprinting. So we opened and we fingerprinted more than 300 people by the end of June. We had people coming from pretty far away because for a long time we were the only ones printing in Pennsylvania. And now with our doors open, we cannot keep up with the demand. There are a lot of people that need fingerprinted and we don't have enough time to get them all done. The other location that did fingerprinting in Lancaster County is no longer doing it. So it adds to the demand that we see. And we are glad to support our service community through this service. We also rebooted passports a few weeks ago, and we had more than 50 applicants by the end of June. In the window activity bags, we provided, like I told you, everything that you needed to get the project done. And this is one of my favorite responses that we got. We've gotten so many pictures from families who completed the packs. And this really tells the story. Usually we would get the picture of the person holding the finished product, but this one shows what it was. This is called a Pringle Ringle. You're all gonna wanna do this now. So we provided everybody with tubes of Pringles and challenged them, could they build the Pringle Ringle? And as you can see, it is possible. a little bit nervous there at the beginning, and it takes a long time to figure out how to get that base in place. So the instructions were there with the general guidelines on how to do it, and he persevered. Apparently with several times the whole thing fell apart, but he did stand victorious there at the end and has this proof that he accomplished the Pringle Wringle. So with each of those, you can also see, it was kind of nice. It was almost like we asked them to do this because this is a perfect advertisement for the project. We provided them with a STEM, what they were learning from a science, technology, engineering, or math perspective. And then on the back, we asked them questions about what they learned, how long it took, what the engagement was like, and how the family interacted with that. And we have been given permission to use some EITC funds to fund these window bags because they have these STEM activities in them. So this is just such a great response that we received. And we received so many pictures, so many notes about how families were just happy to have things to do with their hands and not just on screens. So now summer reading is almost over. It's hard to believe that we're a couple days away from August. So we had summer reading sign up on the sidewalk. The countywide reading program was only deployed in a virtual format, and we knew a lot of families were asking for in-person physical activities. And so we drafted our version of summer reading that complemented the online version. And it certainly looks a whole lot different than it ever has, but we continue to make a very real difference in the lives of many people and families. And hundreds of people have participated in the physical summer reading program. And we know that several hundred have also taken part in the online reading program. So they are now just pulling those numbers together, and people are now coming in to turn in their materials. So I don't have the numbers for that. But that is our hero, Miss Jennifer. And if you've ever met her, if you've ever seen her, that's what she looks like all the time. She's delightful. She always is smiling and one of the most welcoming people I have ever met. She's just delightful. Behind her, you can see the temporary bulletin board. You can see some of the magazines hanging, big variety of titles available. And then we also would post some of the examples that we received from the STEM projects that were included in the packs. So you can see the train that's made out of different shapes there. And over on the right in the other window, some coloring pages that came back. There's a box hanging, and that was a best friends box that people could make, putting a picture in there. It was like a pen carrier. So there was good stuff, and a lot of it was done on the sidewalk, and that was okay too. Lots of people called us, and not only were they encouraging us to continue the service, it was a really emotional time for a lot of people. And the first time it happened, I was really surprised. And then it happened over and over and over. People would either call us from their car or when they got home in tears. They were literally crying. They were so happy to have gotten out of their home, to be able to talk to people, to get the things that they were looking for, to be able to get information. The postponement of tax deadline confused a lot of people. They didn't have their forms. They didn't know how they were going to get them. Those kinds of things. Some people who had computers but didn't have printers, how they were going to be able to print their documents, all of these kinds of things. And person after person after person called in tears. And I was surprised by that. And it was one of those things. It was part of that 5% that is pretty awesome about what we do. And really, they were grateful for the materials, sure. They were mostly grateful because we were here for them. And that's really what it's all about. And that brings me to my last morning declaration, and that is that I am a beacon of hope in a world of fear and hate. We look different, we act different, we do things differently. We may agree on the mask thing, we may disagree on the mask thing, we may agree on going out for dinner, we may not agree on going out to dinner. There's so many things that we can disagree about, but we are truly leaders in our community, and we are the beacons of hope. However we do that, however you perform your four-way test out in the world, you are a beacon of hope. And I hope today you are filled with hope. And if it's helpful to build your own declarations for your morning routine, you can be reminded every day of all the ways you will find success during and coming out of this positive disruption. This is actually one of the care packages that we received with great big thank you from somebody, we don't know who they were. So if perhaps one of you or who brought us this lovely package, the yellow M&Ms and the chapstick, which you can't see, were team favorites. So if you happen to be here, thank you very much. And all of the encouragement, all of the support, we are very, very grateful for that. And
sorry.
Nope, it's all good. If you're curious about LeaderCast and Positive Disruption, we have it coming up again in September. The tickets will be available on our website. We'll have 3 different sessions instead of one giant one. 6:30 in the evening. It'll be here at the library this time. And we have already deployed it a couple of small groups elsewhere. Good presenters.
We do have a little time for questions. Yep. First of all, I want to apologize for calling you Elizabeth when
that's all right.
You're trying to get your screen share working. I saw the name under your face and it's like, wait, no. So we have time for, I think, 2 questions. Anybody? Be sure to unmute your microphone.
Don, I gotta go, but Deb, thanks so much.
Thank you, Bart.
It's a great program. It's long now.
Keep it up. Thank you.
So any questions?
So are the hours the same as before, or you have them reduced?
No, the hours are reduced. I heard somebody say recently that it takes 75% more time to do 25% of the work. It's really what it feels like. We are monitoring the doors for entry. We are still providing curbside pickup. So we have a lot more people working. All the hours were open. We are open Monday to Saturday from 10 to 2. And then we are also open on Tuesday and Thursday from 4 to 7. And our hours we are going to be moving forward, not back. So the hours will be changing whenever we can restore to whatever the new normal is going to look like for us.
Yep. Okay, time for one more question. You've been dying to know about the library.
Yeah, could you talk a little bit about how you handle masking and physical distancing and everything you do?
Sure. The building often looks really, really funny because we have removed a lot of what people have expected in the past. So we have small tables with 1 chair. Everything has been measured, and we have signs all over the place asking people to please not move the furniture or other things. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Human nature is what it is. We also have, obviously, the computers are there for public use. And what we have done there is we actually purchased keyboards and mice that can be washed. So they are sanitized before and after each use. People check them out like you would check out a book, and then they just take them to the computer. The team is masked, and when they're in public, obviously, if I'm in my office, I'm not wearing a mask. I'm in here by myself. So the masking is pretty consistent. We also wear gloves when we're serving, and several lifetimes ago, I worked in the nursing field. So the entire team has been trained on proper glove procedures. When people come in for fingerprinting or passports or anything like that, where there's going to be relatively close contact, they are directed to a hand washing station. There are directions there. They're expected to wash their hands before being printed or having their passport done. So we have really, really high standards. We have some plexiglass that's in place. We have more is on order. I think everybody is kind of very delayed in getting a lot of the PPE, and a lot of it is not available right now. So fortunately, I ordered a lot of it, and I thought I had over-ordered, and now I'm getting a little concerned, hoping that everything will be back in stock when we need to order it again. So we've been doing our very best to be as responsible as we possibly can. The team is disinfecting surfaces, sanitizing tools and equipment, and wearing masks and gloves.
Wow, two great questions. Thank you so much. Well, Deb, we're really honored to have you among us, and we're so impressed with the creativity and the bravery, as you mentioned during C19. And we're really honored to be part of Etown, 1 in 4 still providing services in the U.S. back in the earlier days. So thank you so much for joining us. Everybody unmute your mic and let's give her a round of applause. I can at least hear a few. All right, so I think we're going to end with that. And everybody have a great weekend. Go visit your library. Good day now.